So welcome to this session on mudra. So mudra are sacred gestures we make. It could be with the hands. In this case, this is what we're going to focus on. But really mudra, it can be the asana itself. So this is very much the bhava or the feeling of asana when we teach it and how we teach it. So mudra can be embodiment in general, okay? But for this video, I'd like to share one specific mudra, which is the Mothering Lotus, okay? So I think it's very useful in pregnancy to really use the imagery of a flower. So I know this is something in hypnobirthing that's very common in the visualizations and the imagery. And if you think about pregnancy itself, it's this kind of process of, coming from this tiny seed to the bud and then blossoming and blooming into the full manifestation, the full expression of the flower, okay? So when we tap into this mudra, this sacred gesture of the Mothering Lotus, we go from the closure to the openness to the integration. And it's really the energy of what you're doing that you can tap into. And although this is not something energetic or fast, it's something very powerful, okay? So it's keeping the beautiful imagery of the rose in mind, okay? Great. Okay, so first of all, we start in Anjali Mudra. And in Anjali Mudra, I always like to give that little bud. So rather than having the hands pressing together, that there's just a little space for growth. It's very symbolic. I know I have a picture of Krishnamacharya, who is the kind of grandfather of modern yoga. And in his beautiful Tadasana picture, he's in Anjali or offering mudra with this beautiful little space in the palm, as if he was holding that seed and holding space. Very symbolic, very beautiful, okay? So in Anjali Mudra, the spine is lengthy, all of those instructions, okay? And then coming into the energy body, just dropping deeply into Pranamaya Kosha, feeling the vibrations between the fingertips and feeling the heat generated in the hands. And then starting to drop into the breath as she moves through you in waves. And let's move into our Mothering Lotus. So on the inhale, we're going to start to unpeel and unfurl those petals, offering our hands up. And then we reverse that. So we bring that gesture back to Anahata and then open her up. And then we receive. So we draw the gesture into Lotus Mudra. So the thumb rather, and the little finger are open and the rest of the fingers are open. And we bring her safely back down to Anahata Chakra. And from here, we rest the flower in the heart of compassion, and then we close her back up to the bud. Okay, so let's flow through the mudra, inhaling as we open, exhaling. I like to integrate the breath. And then opening up to receive, drawing down back to the center of compassion, receiving the lotus, and back to Anjali Mudra. Okay, you can see, you might be able to see the way my body kind of reacts as it starts to heat, starts to tingle, starts to vibrate. Opening up. I think you'll remember when I practice this, or you'll see later in the course, when I practice this with echo in the postnatal unit and how powerful it is. Really amazing. Good. Let's do this a few more times. So do this with me. Don't just watch. Coming back. Backs of the hands coming towards the open space, and then flowing up to receive, closing the thumb and the little finger, drawing her back down to the heart, and then coming together, Yoni Mudra of offering. Also touch that thumb into the heart center. That's quite nice to have that physical touch. Last time together, so slowly unfurling the petals and then coming through to receive as we open and receive, blooming and blossoming back down into the heart. Now our full flower in full bloom. Letting her close, coming into the cycles of life through our focus on Mothering Lotus. So to complete our session on mudra, I'm going to talk about Yoni Mudra. So Yoni Mudra is really the essence of this course, and it's a deep dive into source energy, and it's a very powerful practice, and probably in my top 5 yoga practices, along with Om chanting and those other essential yoga, easy access to source gestures and asanas and chants and mantras. So when we looked at the pelvic floor muscles with Lisa, she talks about the diamond shape, and she explained to us how Yoni Mudra is in fact parallel to our own pelvis. So this is really our pelvic floor or our source, okay? So there are many ways to do Yoni Mudra, and I'll show you some of the simple ones, and you can also learn some more complicated ones in other traditions, and I'll talk about those, okay? So firstly, in pregnancy, not in pregnancy, I would tend to do Yoni Mudra on the womb space. But obviously, if I was to go to my ordinary uterus space, it would not correspond to my pregnant uterus, which is here. Okay, so basically, you're choosing to find exactly where you feel comfortable with your baby. You have more choice. Okay, and then we're simply sitting and in this gesture of thumb and index finger together in the diamond shape, relaxing the shoulders. Okay. A more active way to do Yoni Mudra is to interlock all of the fingers except the index finger, okay, and then clasp them around. And then it's an active pose, so we're pushing the index fingers together, and this is creating a more connected source energy focus, okay? It's more of the yang version of Yoni Mudra. And again, you can choose to sit her in on your baby bump, perhaps a little lower. It's completely your choice. Generally, in a non-pregnant body, I would do this in the womb space. It's your choice, okay? And then sitting with the vibration and the sensation for however many breaths you're able to offer that woman. So this is not a practice to do two or three breaths. You're diving into the bhatha or the sensation. Great. Releasing. Good. There's a wonderful Yoni Mudra which is on the face, which you can learn in Kriya Yoga. And there's many more options for this mudra. So, these sacred gestures are kind of infinite in their expression, and I encourage you to explore them and to integrate them into your prenatal classes, to really take a deep dive into source energy. Thank you.